sentenced to death for attempting to kill the king. His name was Melos. For the wedding of his only family, his sister, he vowed to return in 3 days and was set free. He left his best friend as a hostage. If Melos failed to return, his friend would be executed instead. After seeing the wedding, Melos tore himself away and ran to keep his promise to his friend. From Osamu Dazai, a writer still beloved in Japan. More than 70 years after his death. Run, Melos. Please enjoy. Melos grew furious. He swore that he must overthrow the wicked and tyrannical king. Melos knew nothing about politics. He was a shepherd from a village. He spent his days playing the flute and tending his sheep. However, he was more sensitive to evil than anyone else. Early this morning, Melos left his village. He crossed fields and mountains and arrived at the city of Syracuse, 10 leagues away. Melos had no father or mother. He had no wife either. He lived alone with his shy 16-year-old sister. This sister was soon to marry a diligent young shepherd from their village. The wedding was just around the corner. Melos had come all the way to the city to buy her bridal clothes and food for the wedding feast. After collecting those items, he began strolling along the city's main street. Melos had a childhood friend named Selinuntius. Selinuntius now worked as a stonemason in Syracuse. Melos planned to visit him next. It had been a long time since they last met, so Melos was looking forward to seeing him. As he walked, Melos began to notice something strange about the city. The city was eerily quiet. The sun had already set, so darkness was to be expected. But it was not just that. There was an unsettling stillness hanging over the entire city. Even the usually carefree Melos started to feel uneasy. He grabbed a young man passing by and asked, "Has something happened here? 2 years ago, when I visited this town, everyone was singing even at night, and the city was lively." The young man only shook his head and said nothing. Melos walked further and encountered an old man. This time he asked with a stronger tone, but the old man also refused to answer. Melos grabbed the old man by the shoulders and persistently questioned him. At last, the old man glanced around anxiously and whispered in a low voice, "The king kills people. Why does he kill them? He claims they harbor evil intentions, but no one has such wickedness. Has he killed many? Yes, first he killed his brother-in-law, then his own heir, then his sister, then his sister's child, then the queen, and finally, the wise minister Alexis." Unbelievable. Has the king gone mad? No, he has not gone mad. He simply cannot trust anyone. Recently, he has begun doubting even the loyalty of his vassals. If someone lives even slightly extravagantly, he orders them to offer a hostage. If they refuse, they are crucified and killed. Today alone, 6 people have been executed. Hearing this, Melos grew enraged. What a foolish king. He cannot be allowed to live. Melos was a simple man. Carrying his purchases on his back, he ambled straight into the royal castle. Immediately, he was seized by patrolling guards. When they searched him, they found a dagger hidden in his robes, and the uproar grew louder. Melos was brought before the king. What were you planning to do with this dagger? Speak. The tyrant Dionysius questioned him calmly, yet with an air of authority. The king's face was pale and deep wrinkles were carved between his brows. I came to rescue the city from your tyranny, Melos answered without hesitation. You. The king laughed pityingly. You poor fool. You can't understand my loneliness. Enough, Melos shouted back in anger. To doubt the hearts of men is the most shameful of vices. You even doubt the loyalty of your people. It was you all who taught me, the king muttered, letting out a sigh. That suspicion is the only rightful stance. Men's hearts are unreliable. Human beings are nothing but bundles of selfish desires. They must never be trusted. I too long for peace, the king added quietly. For what peace? To protect your own position. Now it was Melos who sneered. What kind of peace is it when you kill innocent people? Silence, you lowly creature, the king snapped, lifting his face. Anyone can speak sweet words, but I can see through the depths of a man's soul. You too, once you're nailed to the cross, will weep and beg for your life. Ah, the king is clever indeed. Boast as much as you like. I'm prepared to die. I will never plead for my life. Only. Melos looked down at his feet and hesitated for a moment. Only if you are willing to show mercy, grant me 3 days before the execution. I wish to marry off my only sister. Within 3 days, I will hold the wedding in my village and return here without fail. Fool, the tyrant laughed in a hoarse voice. What a ridiculous lie. You think a bird once set free would ever come back? Yes, it will return, Melos insisted desperately. I will keep my promise. Please allow me just 3 days. My sister is waiting for my return. If you cannot trust me, take Selinuntius, a stone mason living in this city, as my hostage. If I fail to return by sunset on the 3rd day, you may kill him. Please, I beg of you. Hearing this, the king quietly smirked with cruel delight. How insolent. Of course he would never return. It would be amusing to pretend to be fooled and set him free. And then to kill the substitute man on the 3rd day would be even more satisfying. People cannot be trusted after all, he thought, wearing a sorrowful face. He would have the substitute crucified and show the so-called honest men of the world how foolish trust was. I grant your request. Call your substitute. Return by sunset on the third day. If you are late, your substitute shall be killed without mercy. Better yet, come late. If you do, I will forgive your crime forever. What are you saying? If you value your life, come late. I already see right through your heart. Melos, burning with frustration, stamped the ground. He no longer wanted to say another word. His childhood friend, Selinuntius, was summoned to the royal castle in the middle of the night. Before the tyrant Dionysius, the two loyal friends reunited for the first time in 2 years. Melos explained everything to his friend. Selinuntius said nothing. He simply nodded and embraced Melos tightly. That alone was enough between true friends. Selinuntius was bound with ropes. Melos departed immediately. It was early summer under a sky full of stars. That night, Melos did not sleep at all. He rushed down the 10-league road without pause. By the time he reached his village, the morning sun was already high in the sky. The villagers were out in the fields, busy with their work. Melos' 16-year-old sister was watching over the sheep that day, taking her brother's place. Seeing her brother staggering towards her, exhausted and worn out, the girl was startled. She flooded him with anxious questions. "It's nothing." Melos forced a smile. "I left some matters unfinished in the city. I must go back soon. Tomorrow, your wedding will be held. It is better to do it quickly." His sister blushed. "Are you happy? I also bought a beautiful wedding dress for you. Now, go and tell the villagers. Tell them the wedding is tomorrow." Melos, still unsteady, continued walking and returned home. He decorated the altar for the gods and prepared the seats for the wedding feast. Then, soon after, he collapsed onto the bed and fell into a deep, breathless sleep. When he awoke, it was night. Melos rose immediately and went to visit the bridegroom's house. There, he explained that due to some circumstances, he needed the wedding to be held the very next day. The bridegroom, a young shepherd, was astonished. He protested, saying they were not prepared at all, and asked Melos to wait until the season of grapes. But Melos pressed him, insisting, "I cannot wait. Please hold it tomorrow." The bridegroom was stubborn and refused to agree easily. They argued until dawn. At last, Melos somehow managed to persuade him, soothing and convincing him. The wedding took place at midday. As the bride and groom finished their vows to the gods, the sky darkened with heavy clouds. Raindrops began to fall, soon turning into a torrential downpour like a waterfall. The villagers gathered for the feast felt an ominous unease. Still, each one forced a cheerful spirit, singing and clapping their hands inside the cramped and steamy house. Melos, too, wore a face full of joy. For a while, he even forgot his solemn promise to the king. As night fell, the celebration became even livelier. The people paid no mind to the storm outside. Melos thought, I wish I could stay here forever. He longed to live out his days with these good people, but his body was no longer his own. He could not do as he pleased. Melos steeled himself and made the decision to depart. There was still enough time before sunset the next day. He thought he would rest a little and then immediately set out. By then, perhaps the rain would have eased. He wanted to remain in this house, even if only a little longer. Even a man like Melos felt the pangs of regret. He approached the bride, who seemed to be floating in the happiness, and spoke to her. Congratulations, I'm exhausted, so I will rest a bit. Once I wake, I must leave for the city. I have an important task. Even if I am gone, you now have a kind husband. You will not be lonely. You know, what I hate most in this world are lies and suspicion. Never harbor any secrets between you and your husband. That is all I wanted to say. Your brother is perhaps a man to be proud of. Live with that pride. The bride nodded dreamily. Then Melos patted the groom's shoulder and said, We are both lacking in preparation. At my house, too, there is nothing but my sister and a few sheep. I will give you all of it, and be proud that you have become Melos' brother. The bridegroom blushed and rubbed his hands together in embarrassment. Melos smiled, bowed lightly to the villagers, and quietly left the feast. He slipped into the sheep pen and fell into a deep, death-like sleep. Melos awoke in the pale light of the next morning. He sprang up. Have I overslept? No, there was still time. If he departed immediately, he could easily reach the castle before the appointed hour. Today, no matter what, he had to show the king the sincerity of a human being. And then he would ascend the cross with a smile. Melos calmly began to prepare himself. The rain seemed to have eased a little. His preparations complete, Melos swung his arms wide and dashed into the rain like an arrow. Tonight, I will be killed. I run to be killed. I run to save the friend who stands in my place. I run to overthrow the king's cunning and wickedness. I must run, and so I will be killed. From my youth, I have been taught to protect my honor. Farewell, my hometown. Young Melos suffered greatly. Many times he felt he might stop running, but he shouted, "Ay, ay," and drove himself onward. He left the village, crossed the fields, and passed through the woods. By the time he reached the neighboring village, The rain had stopped. The sun was high in the sky, and the heat was growing stronger. Melos wiped the sweat from his forehead with his fist. Now that I've come this far, I'll be fine. I have no lingering regrets about home, he thought. Sister and her new husband would surely be happy. He had no more attachments left. If he could just reach the castle, that would be enough. There was no need to rush too much. He relaxed a little, regaining his natural easygoing spirit, and began singing a lively tune. He strolled 2-3 leagues and was nearing the halfway point of his journey when suddenly disaster struck. Melos came to a halt. A river blocked his path. The heavy rain from the day before had caused the mountain's water source to flood. The muddy torrent surged downstream, destroying the bridge with a single fierce blow. The bridge had been shattered into pieces, and the muddy current roared wildly. Melos stood frozen in shock. He looked around desperately, calling out at the top of his lungs. But there were no ferries, no boatmen to be found. The river swelled even more, spreading like an ocean. Melos collapsed on the river bank, crying like a child, lifting his hands to the sky, and pleaded to Zeus. Please calm these raging waters. Time slips away with every moment. The sun is already at its zenith. If it sets before I reach the castle, my good friend will die because of me. The raging torrent seemed to mock Melos' desperate cries, growing even wilder and more ferocious. Waves swallowed waves, rolled over each other, and surged violently. Meanwhile, the time slipped away, moment by moment. At last, Melos steeled himself. There was no other way but to swim across. Ah, gods above bear witness. Now is the time to show the mighty power of love and faith, a strength that even these raging waters cannot defeat. Without hesitation, Melos plunged into the torrent. Against the fury of the waves, twisting and writhing like 100 giant serpents, he fought with all his might. Putting every ounce of strength into his arms, he clawed his way forward, defying the surging, swirling currents. Blindly and furiously, he battled through with the courage of a lion. Perhaps even the gods took pity on the desperate figure of this mortal. At last, Melos, though battered and tossed by the current, managed to seize hold of a tree trunk on the far bank. How grateful he was. He shook his whole body violently, like a horse, then immediately resumed his run. Not a single moment could be wasted. The sun was already tilted westward. Panting heavily, he began to climb the mountain pass. At last, he reached the top and breathed a sigh of relief, when suddenly a group of bandits sprang out before him. "Stop. What do you want?" "I must reach the castle before the sun sets. Let me pass." "Not a chance. Leave behind everything you have. I have nothing but my life, and even that I intend to offer to the king. That life is what we want. So it's the king's order, is it? You've been waiting here to ambush me. The bandits, without a word, all raised their clubs at once. Melos ducked swiftly, then leapt like a flying bird toward one of them, snatching away his club. I'm sorry, but this is for justice. Shouting this, he struck with fierce force, felling 3 men in an instant, taking advantage of the moment when the others recoiled. Melos quickly dashed down the mountain pass. He sprinted all the way down the slope, but exhaustion began to overwhelm him. The scorching afternoon sun beat down mercilessly. Melos staggered forward, feeling dizzy again and again. This won't do. Resolving himself, he stumbled forward a few steps, but finally his knees buckled beneath him. He could not stand anymore. He looked up at the sky and burst into bitter tears. Melos, you who swam across the torrent, who struck down 3 bandits and fought your way this far, true hero Melos. And yet now to collapse here from exhaustion. How pitiful. The friend who believed in you will soon be put to death because of that trust. You are becoming exactly what the king wanted. A betrayer. Melos tried to scold himself, but his body was drained of all strength. He could not move even like a worm. He lay flat in the grass by the roadside. When the body grows weak, the spirit follows. A cowardly thought crept into his heart. A feeling that nothing mattered anymore. I have tried so hard. I had no intention of breaking my promise. Surely the gods have seen it. I ran with everything I had until my body gave out. I'm not a betrayer. If only I could tear open my chest and show them this crimson heart that moves only with love and sincerity. But now, at the most crucial moment, I have exhausted all my strength. I'm an unfortunate man. Surely I will be laughed at. My family will be mocked. I have betrayed my friend. Collapsing halfway is no different from having done nothing at all. Let it be. This must be the fate set for me. Selinuntius, forgive me. You always believed in me, and I, too, never once betrayed you. We truly were good friends. Not once did a shadow of doubt cross between us. Even now, you must be waiting for me without a hint of suspicion. You are waiting. Thank you, Selinuntius, that you believe in me. Breaks my heart. The trust between friends is the greatest treasure in this world. Selinuntius, I ran for you. I had no intention of betraying you. Believe me. I rushed desperately to come this far. I crossed the torrent, I slipped through the ambush of bandits. I charged down the mountain pass in one go. Only I could have done it. What more can you ask of me? Leave me alone. Doesn't matter anymore. I have lost. Pathetic. Laugh at me. The king whispered to me, "Come late. If you are late, I will kill your friend but spare your life." I hated the king's vile cunning, but now I realize I have fallen into his trap. I will end up arriving late. The king will smirk to himself and set me free, and that would be worse than death. I will be a traitor for all eternity, the most dishonorable of men. Selinuntius, I will die too. Let me die with you. You, at least, will surely still believe in me. No, perhaps even that is just my own arrogance. Should I just live on as a wretched man? In the village, I still have my house. I still have my sheep. Surely my sister and her husband would not drive me out. Justice, sincerity, love. When you think about it, such things are foolish. Kill or be killed. Isn't that the true law of the human world? Everything is meaningless. I am a filthy betrayer. Do what you will. Let it be. So be it. Melos sprawled out his limbs and slipped into a dazed, half-conscious sleep. Suddenly, he heard the sound of water murmuring nearby. Melos lifted his head cautiously and held his breath to listen. It seemed that water was flowing just at his feet. Staggering to his feet, he saw a small spring bubbling up through a crack in the rocks. Whispering softly. Drawn to it, Melos bent down. He scooped the water with both hands and took a sip. A long sigh escaped his lips. It felt as if he had awakened from a bad dream. I can walk. I must go. As his body slowly regained strength, a faint hope began to rise within him. Hope to fulfill his duty. Hope to protect his honor, even at the cost of his life. The setting sun poured its crimson light over the trees, making their leaves and branches burn with fiery brilliance. There was still time before sunset. Someone is waiting for me. Without a hint of doubt, someone is quietly trusting in my return. I'm trusted. My life does not matter. Now is not the time for sweet notions like dying. To apologize, I must live up to that trust. That is all that matters now. Run, Melos. I am trusted. That devil's whisper from earlier was just a dream. A bad dream. Forget it. When the body is exhausted, it sometimes conjures up such nightmares. Melos, you have nothing to be ashamed of. You are still a true hero. You have risen once more. You can run again. How grateful I am. I can now die as a righteous man. Ah, the sun is sinking, sinking fast. Wait for me, O Zeus. Since the day I was born, I have lived as an honest man. Let me die with that honesty intact. Pushing aside the people on the road, knocking them out of his way, Melos ran like a black wind. He burst through the middle of a feast being held in a field, startling the revelers, kicking away dogs and leaping over streams. He ran 10 times faster than the sun, which was slowly sinking behind him. As he brushed past a group of travelers, he caught a fragment of their grim conversation. By now, that man must have been crucified. Ah, that man. That man is the reason I am running like this. I must not let him die. Hurry, Melos. You must not be late. Now is the time to show the power of love and loyalty. What does appearance matter? Melos was now almost completely naked. He could barely breathe. Twice, 3 times, blood gushed from his mouth. I can see it far ahead, tiny in the distance. The towers of the city of Syracuse shimmered under the setting sun. Ah, Lord Melos. A groaning voice came riding on the wind. Who's there? Melos asked as he ran. It is I, Philostratus. I'm a disciple of your friend Selinuntius. The young stonemason shouted, chasing after Melos. It's too late. It's useless. Please stop running. There's no way you can save him now. No, the sun has not yet set, Melos shouted. Just now they're about to execute him. Ah, you were too late. We are heartbroken. If only you had arrived just a little earlier. No, the sun has not yet set, Melos thought, his heart about to burst, staring only at the great red sun. I must keep running. Please stop. Save yourself now. Your friend believed in you. Even when dragged to the execution site, he remained calm. Even when the king mocked him mercilessly, he only answered, Melos will come, with unshakable faith. That is why I must run. Because I am trusted, I must run. Whether I make it or not is not the issue. Even a man's life is not the issue. I am running for something far greater and more terrifying. Come with me, Philostratus. Ah, have you gone mad? Then run to your heart's content. Perhaps you may even make it in time. Run. It needs no saying. The sun has not yet set. With his last ounce of strength, Melos sprinted. His mind was empty, thinking of nothing, pulled along by a vast, unknown force. The sun wavered at the horizon, and just as the final fragment of light was about to vanish, Melos burst into the execution ground like a whirlwind. He made it. Wait, do not kill him. Melos has returned. As promised, I am here. He meant to shout to the crowd, but only a hoarse whisper escaped his crushed throat. No one in the crowd noticed him. Already the crucifixion pillar stood high, and Selinuntius, tied with ropes, was slowly being hoisted upward. Melos saw it. Summoning his very last strength, he tore through the crowd, just as he had swum the raging river before. "I'm here, executioner. It is I who must die. I, Melos, am the hostage. I have returned." Crying out with what little voice he had left, he climbed the scaffold and clung to his friend's rising feet. The crowd roared, "Bravo! Forgive them!" They shouted from all sides. Selinuntius' ropes were cut loose. "Selinuntius," Melos said, his eyes brimming with tears, "strike me. Strike me across the face with all your might. I had a bad dream along the way. If you do not hit me, I will have no right to embrace you. Strike me." Selinuntius nodded, as if he understood everything, then struck Melos' right cheek with a sound loud enough to echo across the execution ground. After hitting him, he smiled gently and said, "Melos, now strike me. Strike my cheek with just as much strength. During these 3 days, for just one fleeting moment, I doubted you. For the first time in my life, I doubted you. If you do not strike me, I will have no right to embrace you." Melos tightened his arm, let out a fierce roar, and struck Selinuntius' cheek with all his might. "Thank you, my friend," they said at the same time. Then they embraced each other tightly, overcome with joy, and sobbed aloud. Soft weeping could also be heard from among the crowd. Tyrant Dionysius, watching the two from behind the crowd, slowly approached them, his face blushing. He said quietly, "Your wish has been fulfilled. You have conquered my heart. Faith is not an empty illusion. Please, let me be part of your circle. Please, grant me this one wish. Allow me to be counted among your friends." A great cheer erupted from the crowd. "Long live the king! Long live the king!" One young girl stepped forward, holding out a crimson cloak for Melos. Melos stood frozen, unsure what to do. Seeing this, his good friend whispered with a smile, "Melos, you're completely naked. Put on the cloak quickly." The sweet girl couldn't bear the thought of everyone seeing you like that. The brave hero blushed deeply.